Laker Nation, stop. Whatever you're doing right now, you stop it immediately. I don't care if you're at work. I don't care if you're eating. I don't care if you're in the middle of something important, because what just happened in the Lakers training facility today, what Luka Doncic just said on camera in front of the entire world with that smile on his face, is going to define this entire series. And I'm telling you right now, before I even get into the details, this video is going to be the most important thing you watch before Game 1 tips off tonight. Because Luka didn't just give an interview, he dropped a warning, he dropped a threat, he dropped a promise that I believe with every fiber of my being he is going to keep. Let me take you through every single word, every single moment, every single implication of what Luka Doncic said today. Buckle up, okay? Context first. Luka Doncic has been out for this entire playoff run so far. He missed every single game of the first round series against Houston, and the media, led again by Stephen A. Smith on First Take this morning, has been absolutely feasting on the Lakers situation. Stephen A. said, Luka is in street clothes. He's on the sideline in a tracksuit watching his team get humiliated by the defending champions. This is over before it even starts. I don't even want to call it a series. This is an execution. An execution. That's what Stephen A. Smith called a second round playoff series featuring LeBron James on national television. Hey, what's up everyone? Real quick before we get into everything, that like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly, the biggest way to support this content. Every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. And you know what the ESPN cameras found when they went to the Lakers facility this morning? They found Luka Doncic in the physio room. And here's the thing, here's the detail that everyone is going to be talking about all day. He wasn't in a hoodie, he wasn't in sweatpants. He was wearing his warm-up jersey, his Lakers warm-up gear. Like he was getting ready for something, like he was preparing, and he's in the physio room and he's working on that knee, and he looks up at the camera and he points to his knee, and then he points directly at the camera with a smile, this grin, this absolutely dangerous, menacing, I know something you don't know grin. And before the reporter even asked a single question, Luka said, I saw what Stephen A. said this morning. My phone blew up. Group chats exploding. Everyone texting me like, did you see Luka? Because something about the way he said that sentence, calm, quiet, almost amused, told you everything. This man is not broken. This man is not scared. This man is watching from the sideline and he is absolutely locked in on everything happening in this series. And then he started talking, and I want to give you every single word because every single word matters. He said, it's easy to count us out when I'm not on the court, right? Stephen A. I've heard you say my team has no chance. I've heard you say LeBron is too old. I've heard you say DA can't guard Chet. You know what's funny? You've been giving OKC all this bulletin board material, and then you wonder why players use that as motivation. But okay, let me talk, because I have been quiet for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of watching, of rehabbing, of sitting in that physio room working 2 sessions a day on this knee while my teammates fought and clawed and beat Houston without me. And I have had a lot of time to think. Borrow. A lot of time to think. From Luka Doncic. Before a playoff game. That sentence right there should be sending chills down Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's spine. Because when Luka Doncic has time to think about basketball, historically very bad things happen to the opposing team. This is a man who dropped 35 and 10 against the Clippers in a must-win game. This is a man who hit one of the most iconic shots in recent Western Conference Finals history. This is a man who doesn't just play basketball. He thinks basketball at a level that very few humans on this planet can match. And then he said something that made the entire room freeze. My teammates have been holding the line in OKC. LeBron is doing what LeBron does. DA is ready, and I have a message for the Thunder, for OKC, for every single analyst who has been celebrating this series before it even starts. I will be back on the court in Game 4 in Los Angeles at the Crypto.com Arena. And the moment I walk through that tunnel, this series completely changes. Game 4. He said, Game 4, on the record, on camera, with a grin on his face. Now listen, I have to be careful here because nothing is official, right? No one from the Lakers organization has confirmed a timeline. JJ Redick has been vague about Luka's status every single time he's been asked. But here's what I know, Luka Doncic is a basketball obsessive. He doesn't say things for show. He doesn't play mind games with the media the way LeBron sometimes does. When Luka says something, it's because he believes it to be true. And if he sat in that physio room this morning in his warm-up jersey and told the entire world he'll be back in Game 4, that means the Lakers medical staff gave him something this week. Something that confirmed a timeline, something that shifted the plan. And think about what that means for OKC. Think about what the Thunder's coaching staff has to do now. Do they game plan for a Luka-less Lakers team and risk getting caught off guard? Or do they start preparing for Luka now and potentially split their attention? That's a chess move. That's a psychological operation. And it came from a guy sitting in the physio room in his warm-up gear who hasn't played a single minute in these playoffs yet. The interview went to a break right after the Game 4 bomb. And when they came back, Luka had clearly gotten even more comfortable. Like the break gave him space to open up further, and that's when he started talking about OKC specifically. And I want you to pay attention here because he said things about this series that were almost tactical in how precise they were. He said, people keep talking about Shai this, Shai that. Listen, Shai is a great player. He's the best player in the world right now, probably. You don't win a championship without being elite. But I've watched every single game OKC has played this season. I've watched them from that sideline with nothing else to do, and I see things, I see patterns, I see tendencies, I see how they respond when their lead shrinks in the fourth quarter. I see how Chet reacts when the physicality increases. I see what happens to their pace when someone disrupts their rhythm early in the shot clock. And then he paused, and he said, I can't wait. I literally had to stand up. Because what Luka just described is months of film study from the sideline, months of watching OKC with the obsessive eye of someone who is preparing for war, while the media was writing his team's obituary, while Stephen A was using the word execution. Luka Doncic was sitting there with ice on his knee and a tablet in his hand, studying every single thing about the team that is supposed to sweep his Lakers. That is terrifying if you're Oklahoma City. And then DA's comments came up, because the reporter asked Luka if he'd heard what DeAndre Ayton said this morning. And Luka's face changed. He got more serious. He said, DA is one of the most underrated players in this league. And I mean that with full sincerity. I have played with and against some of the best big men in the world. And DA, when he's right, and when he's mentally and physically locked in, he is as hard to stop in the paint as anyone. The stuff Stephen A said about him this morning was disrespectful, and DA is going to make him regret every single word tonight. He paused again, then added, and so am I, on Game 4. Yo, the brotherhood in this locker room right now is real. You felt it in LeBron's interview, you felt it in DA's interview, and you feel it here in Luka's words. This is a team that is genuinely united by a sense of being disrespected, being written off, being dismissed by the biggest media personalities in the country. And there is nothing more dangerous in sports than a team that has been told they cannot win. Now here's my real talk for you, because I always try to give you both sides. The honest concern with Luka's return is that coming back from a knee injury in a high-stakes playoff game is an enormous risk. The Paycom Center is going to be the loudest building in North America when this series shifts to OKC games. The Thunder defense is built to disrupt ball handlers, make life difficult, push the pace. And a Luka who is at 70 or 75% might not be Luka. He might be a liability defensively, a player who can't cut and move the way he needs to, someone who gets exploited in transition by Shea or Williams or even Cason Wallace. So the risk is real. The question is not just, is Luka coming back? The question is, what version of Luka comes back? But here's the flip side. Here's why I'm choosing to believe. In Game 3 against the Rockets, LeBron played 45 minutes and had 29 to 13 to 6 in overtime. This team has been playing survival basketball for 3 weeks. They've been tapping into reserves that nobody believed they had. And if Luka Doncic walks into the Crypto.com arena in Game 4, even at 80%, even with limitations, that changes every single defensive calculation OKC has to make. Every single one, because suddenly they have to account for the guy who led the entire NBA in scoring this season. Suddenly LeBron doesn't need to carry the full load. Suddenly DA has space to operate. Suddenly the role players have room to breathe. Even a limited Luka transforms this team structurally in ways that could genuinely shift the series. And I keep coming back to that image. Luka in his warm-up gear in the physio room, pointing at his knee, pointing at the camera, with that smile, that confidence, that I know something you don't know energy. That is not a man who is counting down the days. That is a man who is counting down the minutes. That is a competitor of the highest possible order who is burning with every ounce of his being to get back on that court and prove every single person wrong who had the audacity to bury his team while he was still in the building. Before Luka left, he had a final message, and I want to give this to you word for word because I think it's going to be one of the most quoted things anyone says in this entire playoff run. He looked directly into the camera and he said, "Stephen A. You said our season was over. You called our situation an execution. I want you to prepare your apologies now. Not for me, not for LeBron, not for DA, for yourself. Because when I walk out of that tunnel in Game 4 and this building goes crazy and the Thunder realize what's about to happen, you're going to need to explain to your audience how you got it this wrong. Start writing those words now, because Game 4 is coming and I will be there. I promise." He promised. Luka Doncic made a public promise on the morning of Game 1 that he will be back on the court by Game 4. That is either the most confident thing I've ever heard from a player, or it is the most well-informed thing I've ever heard from a player. And based on everything I know about how Luka operates, I think it's both. I think he is supremely confident, and I think he has inside information from the medical staff that gives him the certainty to say that publicly. Here is what I think is happening. The Lakers organization made a strategic decision today. They let LeBron go first, plant the seed, talk about something big is coming. They let DA go second, fire up the fan base, address the weak link narrative, and then they sent Luka in his warm-up gear, on camera, in the physio room, to deliver the kill shot, to tell OKC exactly what is coming, not because they're overconfident, but because they want Oklahoma City thinking about Luka Doncic on a flight, in film sessions, in their morning shoot-around. They want that distraction in OKC's preparation. This was coordinated, this was intentional, and it was masterful. Laker Nation, I need the comment section to go crazy right now. Do you believe Luka comes back in Game 4? If he does, what does this series look like? Because I'm telling you, a healthy Luka Doncic returning to a Lakers team that has already proven it can compete without him, that might be the scariest thing in basketball right now. Hit that like button, slam that subscribe, share this video everywhere, because this series is about to be the most watched, most talked about, most insane thing in the 2026 playoffs. The execution Stephen A. predicted? It's not happening. Laker Nation, we ride. Game 4, Luka coming home.